Cambridge City, Oxford City, Tower Hamlets and Bradford councils, among others in the UK, who have passed motions calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an end to Israel's violence, and now in Gaza and now in the West Bank. We note that the Council's support for Ukrainian refugees was mobilised within weeks of the invasion by Russia and the humanitarian crisis that this brought. We therefore call on the Council to write to the Prime Minister asking him to support the unfettered humanitarian access to Gaza to alleviate the unacceptable levels of human suffering in the region, and to provide the same humanitarian support to Palestinian displaced people as they have to Ukrainian refugees. We also call on the Council to write to the Prime Minister asking him to fulfil the UK's responsibilities under the Genocide Convention by taking measures to support the upholding of international law, calling on the investigation of and accountability for the well-documented breaches of international law.
Councillor Ahmed, how much longer?
It was just the final section.
I'm going to allow the Councillor to briefly finish.
That's fine. The final point was just for the Council to end all support for, which includes immediate divestment of any funds, but that's included in the motion. Thank you.
Being funded by local government pensions. My modest RBKC pension is invested in companies responsible for the mass bombing and deliberate targeting by drones of individuals, including doctors, charity workers, the press, and Hind Rajab in Gaza and the West Bank. I find this repellent. A majority of our pension members, council staff, are completely unaware of this. I've spoken to numerous of them. When they find out, they're absolutely appalled. We have a petition going, but they're afraid to sign it because they think they're going to be targeted for supporting peace over war. And I've tried to get a response to this from the council and have been unable to get the reassurance to them.
I'll call upon Councillor Jedit to speak. Councillor Jedit.
Thank you. Undeniably, there is a human loss on both sides. But we cannot forget that this started from Hamas. Onslaught on Israel. Every country has a right to self-defense, so does the Israel. Undeniably, this upsets everybody on both ends, but still we have people who are kidnapped and not released. There are hostages who are babies and small children, and parents are waiting for their release. One needs to be accountable for own actions. Hamas is a terroristic organization choosing to build tunnels into Israel than build Palestine. We know very well about Abbas and incredible corruption on that side of the world. We know very well about our marches on our streets calling to completely destroy Jews, calling for from a river to the sea, which is anti-Semitic call. And I think there is a difference between our legal call for ceasefire, which is international matter, left to Netanyahu and those who are in power to impose it, and calling on our powers, Keir Starmer, Labour government, to stop hate marching on our street, set literally example that this is acceptable anti-Semitic call, this should be completely banned, and I agree that we as a council, we should have moral standing. And there is a difference between making money in a way that nobody is accused of making money as a blood money. So making money on our side as a council through the human suffering because somebody is investing in those wars, it's not morally correct. So on this point alone, I would agree. Thank you.
Sadly, been many other conflicts around the world that have also caused immense suffering and displacement. There have been political crises, human rights violations, natural disasters, and humanitarian emergencies, all with a devastating impact on human life. And Mr. Mayor, how could we possibly begin to do justice to all of these and debate and pass motions on every one of these situations? Are we going to write to the government and demand intervention in every conflict and every crisis? I don't think we can do that, and I don't think it would be right. Our primary responsibility is to serve the residents of this borough, providing them with the best possible local services.
Thanks. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I think this is also, just to begin by saying, this is a really good reminder of how it's the silence of friends and not the words of your enemies that can be the most alarming. And it's yeah, really disappointing to hear that there's nobody from within the Labour group that's willing to kind of make their position clear on this. Really disappointing.
Would those against the motion please show? And would those abstaining please show? In that case, I declare the motion not carried.